Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome to another edition, the first season preview. Yes,
your head. We're in the regular season.
I know we are. It's just for me. It's been a hard day. As I was telling Tony in the backstage, all I hear is my phone. I'm like, okay, my phone is blowing up. It's not a phone call, right? I'm like, this is not good. I don't want to look at it. I'm hearing my wife. I don't want to look at it. And then I look, and I'm like, and then what? Anyway, we'll talk about it later. How the rest of you doing?
I'm doing all right. You know what I mean? We just talked TJ Watt's extension into existence backstage.
We actually did.
You guys missed some great bonus coverage of Tony and Quincy going at it about.
We went back
Watt.
literally yelling about this.
That was only broken up by someone realizing
in the world
the
is this
happened.
TJ Watt deal not done? And then in the middle of the argument, oh, he just signed a deal. Okay, and it was the exact deal that Tony wanted.
He literally signed the deal. Now I don't know. I should say, because I'm reading into these tweets. I don't know that this is exactly the deal. It does say fully guaranteed at signing, so that makes it sound like the guaranteed money is not in later years of the deal, which is the kind of deal the Steelers want. But we don't have the full contract details, so I guess we should wait for that before I take my victory lap and say that the Steelers won this one, because. But early signs, if it's early on election night, it looks good. The polling looks good for us.
So a couple of things here. Super Shorts are going to be available for those of you that are new to the channel. We do this on the second part of the week. We preview every single game in the AFC North. So make sure subscribe, hit that bell, because we all have working on scheduling conflicts that we might have. So if you hit that bell, if we change the time, boom, you get alerted when we go live. Drew Norton says, Tony, was hoping you could follow up on Matt Cloud being a head coach next year. Do you have any particular FCS school in mind for him?
Well, it brings up a good point. The Bengals job could be up next year. I guess it's possible.
There you go, man. They didn't wait any time.
He would fit the bill as an inexperienced offensive coordinator. It's usually, this is what they went for last time. So maybe, no, they're normally going to go with like the opposite of what they did last time. That's normally how teams do it when they fire their coach. So they'll hire like
Steve Mariucci,
Gary Kubiak.
There you go.
Romeo Cornell somewhere.
Before we go with the first
Cornell underrated.
If you guys don't know, we got a lot of emails, a lot of messages. Hey, can you do a fantasy league? Blah blah blah. Well, we couldn't. It's just too much for us. But what we did was we did a survivor pool, which Manscaped is putting up a gift for the winner. If there's a tie, we'll just do like a draw up of the people that tie for first. So if you haven't, I'll tweet it out later. The link of the.
And you might want to try to make your pick now, because one of the games is the one for tonight.
Well, I think
that's right.
If it goes past the game, I don't think you can sign into the league anymore. I think it's out of today. So
join now.
Before the game, you have to join now. I'll tweet about it when one of the guys is talking about the breakout the game. So make sure you follow AFC North Talk on Twitter. We'll put
Can we talk for a second about the survivor pool? Because I put my pick in. I don't like my pick. Was there a game? I don't want anyone to give away their picks, but like, how easy or hard was it for you to pick your survivor?
Week one is hard.
Week one is very hard.
I thought it was hard, to be honest with you, because if I'm understanding the rules right, if you get one wrong, you're done, right?
You're out. Yeah, one and out.
Yeah, so I only picked one game. I wasn't picking.
The Bengals play.
I didn't pick multiple.
Bengals play the Vikings. Bengals play the Vikings. There's no gimme there.
I don't want to use my Bengals on that one.
I'm not gonna say I didn't. You don't have to pick your team, right? You can pick any game that you want, right?
I have like a handful of teams I feel like are going to lose more than they're going to win. I'm not saying the Bengals are one of them.
Jacksonville plays Houston week one. So there's.
I just saw the Lions were playing week 1, and so naturally I was just like, whoever is playing the Lions is who I'm picking.
Yeah,
I've seen that strategy before. Okay, so let me do the super chat, and then we'll start with Cincy. A moment of silence for all Ravens players injured. I have never seen anything like this offseason. All 3 RB gone, 3 ACLs, and 1 Achilles. Look, we'll talk about it later. It's rough right now. But
we can get into it now if you want to, Sonny.
Yes, Sonny, make sure you stretch before the show. I'm worried about your ACL, Sonny. I mean, you need to be stretching before the show. Drink lots of water. Like, let's stay hydrated out there.
I already blew my ACL.
Actually, Sonny, what's your 40 time looking like?
No. We don't want to know. We don't want to know.
40 time looking like. Sonny? They might need somebody.
I'm probably hovering around
outside zone.
Okay, so let's start with the Ravens then. Okay. Shout out to everybody that was messaging me on Twitter. Not only Ravens fans, but Browns fans, Steelers fans, Bengals fans. Shout out to all of you. No bad feelings. Actually, they were all very nice tweets. As I said,
did they do the whole as a Bengals fan, I really feel bad for you type thing?
I got a blank fan. Yes.
Pardon my take. Pardon my take. A couple weeks ago, pointed out how silly it is that fans do that. It's a plague amongst all opposing fans.
Dude, it's
even as a Bengal, I'm like, so you just admit you hating?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so saying that, look, it is rough. It's obviously not good news for the Ravens. Losing all 3 running backs. If you drafted Gus Edwards, it sucks right now. But in my opinion, go check Latavius Murray if it is there. Just snatch it, just in case. We got Le'Veon Bell, and somebody asked me, is Bell playing? I'm like, hell no, he ain't playing. He's gonna stay in the practice squad. Why is he playing? Why will he play? And then I was like, oh yeah, he's about to get activated to the 50 line.
Yeah.
You had nobody else. Literally, you had nobody else. You have William Cohen, which they got him in the 50 because he also can play special. And Williams was a special teamer as well, so he ain't gonna touch the special teamers now. So obviously, these injuries affect multiple stages. And then you have the Peters, and look, the Ravens are more equipped to handle the corner injury. Obviously, Peters still gonna be a blow, but it's definitely they're gonna be more equipped to that. So look for Avery to start in the outside corner. Jimmy Smith is not gonna play week 1 either. Jimmy Smith was supposed to be active between week 2 and week 3, so. Now, you're playing the Raiders. The main thing with the Raiders is they are splashy plays kind of team, right? They live and die by that splashy play. If you contain all splashy plays with him, meaning 20-plus yards, yeah, they're not a good team. At least this is based on last year. They didn't bring on a lot of players. Now, one player that they brought, Willie Snead, which is perfect for that things that they don't do good, which is that intermediate type of game, that chain mover type of guy. So still saying that, look, Tavon Young is still in this team, not injured. So you still can put Marlon Humphrey on the outside
for now.
Tony, please. You can put Avery on the outside, and then you don't have to kick Marlon inside. You can have Tavon Young there. Derek Wolf also out for this game. So look for Matabuki to be the start DND tackle on that line. So the O-line for Vegas Raiders. It's soft, in my opinion, in the inside. They also have Leatherwood. We'll see. Look for them to try to put Odafe Owe on Leatherwood and try to see if he can beat him in speed. Again, you guys know what I think about Odafe Owe. But Leatherwood, not the fastest footed guy, huge dude. So look to see if Owe can beat him with speed. I think the Ravens' plan is safety over the top to try to contain Ruggs and just force him to be one-dimensional and get in blitz car, and get him confused. I mean, that's the MO for them. And they're going to try to see if Avery can hold. And they might put Avery on Ruggs and then put the safety over the top and say, Marlon, you're going to be in an island with whoever. Now, obviously, the problem is Waller. What do you do with Waller? Right? Waller is a matchup problem with anybody. And ideally, if Smith was healthy, that's where you kick Smith and say, and on a man coverage, you say, here, Smith. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Waller. They might try Joker for against him for a little bit. but it's gonna be interesting. It's definitely gonna be interesting.
Patrick Queen on Waller.
No, Patrick Queen is not good on coverage. Patrick Queen is not good on coverage. Even if he made some stride last year, he's not gonna be making that much of a stride this year. So, on the other side, I think the defense is still gonna be solid. They're gonna ask too much about Lamar this year. Again, now with all this running back injuries, the receiver core, well, it's healthy for the most part. Obviously, Bateman's not there, but Sammy Watkins is there, right? So obviously they have some weapons. I think it's going to be a tougher game than people think, especially Ravens Nation. I think a lot of people think it's going to be a cakewalk. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I think it's going to be a fought game, especially a season opener on the road on a stadium that is going to be grand opening that day. So obviously a lot of people are just going for the show. It should be packed, should be buzzing. But I think I have the Ravens. I have the Ravens winning this game. The score is what I'm blanking here because with the injuries and the running backs, for the most part, I would have thought 10-point lead, and then you just run it and control the pace. But the Raiders were a bad defense against the run, so I'm gonna go 13. I'm blank at that, man. I think it's 24-13 Ravens. 24-13 Ravens. But it's basically a late touchdown that just pushed the game away.
Low scoring game.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be low scoring. I think the Ravens are gonna be trying a couple of things, and hopefully the defense can hold that the Vegas Raiders down. We had 2 super chats, and then I'm gonna kick it here to Ace. Do we need new training staff or med staff? Look, I don't know what we need. We need something.
It's bad.
A nice little circle. I need to do some.
We need some bubble.
On the field.
You know that game that people go inside this bubble? I don't know what it's called. This bubble, and then they just run to each other, and they just
bubble boy stuff. Yeah.
That's what it is. Okay, whatever. That's what we need. That's what we need to practice in. How do you feel about Watt's deal, Tony? Well, Tony's going to talk about it soon when we do the Steelers recap. But Ace, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, just starting with the injury news, I think it's devastating for Baltimore because you're talking about 2 of their positions of strength, right? Their running back room or running game overall. And you talk about their secondary, right? 2 huge blows, I think, dealt to them within those areas. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to bounce back because Marcus Peters paired with Humphrey is one of the things that have, really helped them on defense, especially in the air. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they adjust to that. Now, the good news is that the Raiders don't have a crazy wide receiver core. You're talking about Hunter Renfrow, Henry Ruggs, those guys, nobody that's really an A-list receiver on that list. As you stated earlier, Waller's probably the A-list receiver and he plays tight end. So I think from that standpoint, they may not have to worry too much, right? They could probably put Humphrey on Ruggs or whatever they end up doing there. I'm not sure who they will play. I would assume that they would keep Humphrey on the outside since they have Tavon Young for the inside back as long as he's healthy. And then, as you said, they probably put Averett on the outside. So from that standpoint, I think that they're okay. Derek Carr is kind of a mixed bag, right? He has games where he looks pretty good, and then he has games where he looks like, okay, I can see why this guy is in trade rumors. And so I think he's going to be the X factor in this game. But when you talk about the flip side, it's going to be really interesting to see how the Ravens adjust and what their game plan is going to be going into this game with us seeing them lose Gus Edwards. He had to definitely be an integral part of that game plan going into it. And that's always been what the Ravens really lean on is the run game. And so with them having this game Monday night, also on the road in the new Vegas stadium, it's going to be interesting to see if they can get Le'Veon up to speed in time, as I believe they signed him last week, to be able to have some kind of effect. And honestly, we've kind of seen in recent years, Le'Veon Bell is a shell of himself. I mean, we saw it in New York. We saw it in Kansas City. Le'Veon Bell, how much does he have left in the tank? So what does that do to the game plan? This may be the game where the Ravens are going to have to try to use some of those new receivers, some of those new weapons that they have to see if they can start to spread this offense out through the air. And it's going to be interesting to watch. But I think with Lamar Jackson, the one thing about him is there's an X factor that he may make Le'Veon look better than he really is, because when you run that read option, are you going to go with Le'Veon or Lamar Jackson? And That's always the X factor that helps running backs gain yardage. But I think that he's going to have to do that damage through the air. Watkins is going to have to be involved in this one. Hollywood Brown is going to have to be involved. We'll have to see if this James Prochet hype that was in the offseason is real.
Duvernay.
And Duvernay as well. I mean, maybe Duvernay gets some strides there. Mark Andrews is probably looking to make it known that he feels like he's worth that money that for the extension that he just signed. But I still got the Ravens in this one, right? Because I can't look at the Raiders and say that, this is a team that on paper, even with all the injuries, is better than the Baltimore Ravens. And I just think the Ravens just mentally getting through all of these injuries and all of these losses in the offseason, they have to come out week one and get started early. And so I got them winning this game. I think that it may be a little closer than the 24 to 13 one. And maybe I'll say 24-20 Ravens. But I got the Ravens still winning this one. And mostly because those areas that are pretty weak for the Raiders kind of bodes well for them. And when you talk about the wide receiver position and some of those other aspects. So I've got the Ravens there. They said, did the Ravens really sign?
They just signed Devonta Freeman. Can we not spam chat? Like we are keeping, look, we see your chats. You do not need to spam stuff like that. You are going to do not do that. We'll time it out.
Yeah, I just did. Yeah. The idea with the chat, guys, is for us to engage with you guys for super chat or, have discussion. You can trash talk and all that, but don't spam. Please don't spam.
Yeah.
As a Ravens/Raider fan, I'm rooting for the Las Baltimore's Ravers. Love the pod. Who y'all think gonna break out from the Ravens wide receiving core? I would say
who's gonna break their ACL or what are we talking about?
You know what he's talking about. I think this is a big year for Hollywood, in my opinion. I think this is a big year for Hollywood. I'm not saying he's the guy that's going to step up, but for him personally, this has to be a big year for him, right? Because he's getting closer to that contract here. So definitely you might see him getting some strive. I still think Bateman when he comes back. That's just my opinion.
It's an evergreen Ravens thought here, which is, hey, this is Hollywood's year, baby. This is Hollywood's year. Just keep it going. Lock it in every year.
Always Hollywood.
This is the year.
I'll throw it to you for the question, and then you can predict the game.
So the question about what?
The wide receiver. Who's breaking out?
Receiver core?
Yeah.
Nobody's breaking out this wide receiver core right now. I've made my prediction. Nobody's getting over 1,000 yards. It's not named Lamar Jackson in this offense. It's not happening this year.
You nailed that one. Nailed that one.
So,
maybe Andrews does now.
Well, right now they got the 2016 All-Stars at running back. So you got Devontae Smith and Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell, running backs a position that moves fast. 4 or 5 years ago, they were great names, but I know Ace is trying to give some optimism there when it comes to what Le'Veon could do opposite of Lamar Jackson. But let's be honest, we saw this man do very little with the Kansas City Chiefs. And is there no other advantage that you can have in sports, especially for a running back, than to have no stack boxes against you pretty much because they're going to throw the ball. So I don't have much optimism there for the run game. And then here's the thing, right? When you start off with your two starting running backs, ACL injury out for the year, it's not just about week 1 where that's going to be effective. It's really about week 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, right? Because that's where it's really going to hit you. The Ravens have that 3 division game stretch in November. So they have to stay healthier than what they are now. They're not going to get those running backs back this year. So they have to stay healthy and then hope that more injuries don't happen specifically in that time frame, because who knows who's going to be playing running back at that point, right? And I'm just going to say here, this is going to be the start of I know Lamar's wearing number 8, just like Kobe did when he was out there scoring 81 points and not passing the ball to Kwame Brown. This is going to be the start of Lamar Jackson's Kobe years right here, because, well, not years, but at least it's going to be a Kobe year for him, because it is going to be obvious that he is going to be the entire offense versus the Las Vegas Raiders, because I don't think the offensive line is going to be able to protect them as well as they need to. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as effectively with the running backs. And I don't think these wide receivers, maybe when you get Bateman back, you might have something. But other than that, there's really nothing in there that I would feel great about trusting in the long run. Right now, your best bets are Sammy Watkins and Hollywood Brown. And however you feel about them, they have been dicey propositions to put your money on when it comes to consistency. So I think Monday Night Football, it's going to be a show, right? Lamar Jackson's going to have to put on the show, because offensively, You know, it's him and Mark Andrews, and I don't know how effective Mark Andrews is going to be when he's probably going to have to stay back and block a lot because the offensive line might not be ready to help him out like they need to. So I don't know what we're going to see here. And I'm not confident that the Ravens are going to win this game. When it's out west, it is a Monday night game. It's kind of weird. You have had a terrible week leading up to this game, and I don't know how that's going to affect them mentally. At the end of the day, they're a better team, and I think they have a better player than anybody on the Raiders. So I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt just because it's Baltimore, just because it's still Lamar, and just because they still have some key pieces on defense. But no Marcus Peters also, no Gus Edwards, it looks like, and Gus Edwards is confirmed out for the year.
Yeah. No Jimmy Smith in this game either.
Yeah, and this is just the beginning right now. Hopefully this is it for them. Even as a Browns fan, as somebody who would benefit from seeing them go down with injury, I don't want to see the Ravens go out like this. But I have to be honest here, if I'm just reading the vibes and the tea leaves, it's starting to look like a Tim Duncan type year for the Baltimore Ravens, which might be a little bit of a blessing in disguise because maybe you are able to get that premium offensive lineman or premium not linebacker, wide receiver, or it's just going to be a pain in the ass if they do get that early pick. Is just know everybody's going to have the hot take that the Ravens should draft Spencer Rattler or something like that and avoid paying Lamar Jackson. But that's not what I'm saying.
That happened this year, right?
Yeah. If something happens, it would have to have if something happened to Lamar where he couldn't play a full season and you don't have the great year and you have like a offbeat 6-10 year like the Spurs did when they got Tim Duncan, everybody's going to be telling you draft a new quarterback or it's going to be annoying. Get a good wide receiver, a premium wide receiver or a tight end or something to give Lamar when he comes back. But it's just unfortunate how the injuries have hit this team. I still give them the benefit of the doubt because I'm a believer in Lamar Jackson. I don't think anybody needs to be a believer in him anymore. He's a former MVP, but I think he's going to be good enough to get you at least 10 games in the NFL. So as long as they got him, they have a shot against anybody. But no run game. Very unsure, if I'm being charitable about the offensive line at this point. And the wide receiving core outside of one rookie, not a lot there that you want to hang your hat on, just some guys that you're hoping. And we've been saying the same thing about Hollywood Brown that I bet Bills fans and Chiefs fans been saying about Sammy Watkins. This is going to be the year. This is going to be the one where he puts it together. This is where he's going to show he was worth his draft value. They've both never had that season. I think Hollywood Brown's probably come closer to reaching his expectations, the reasonable ones that they had for him, than probably Sammy Watkins, just because the bar was a lot higher. But yeah, it's weird for the Ravens. Hopefully they can stay away from more injuries because it's hard to see how much more they can take even more.
Okay, Tony, I'm gonna go with you now.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Raven Ron said this in the chat, right? We talk about, the injuries, and he said, hey, at least they're getting their injuries out of the way early. Like, I'm not sure that that's the case. Look, the problem for the Ravens right now is they continue to lose players before we've even played a game. Injuries are going to, this is a 17-game season now. Okay, injuries are going to happen to this team during the year. And so when you're starting without the wide receiver that you were trying, Rashad Bateman, who was supposed to be this young guy who was going to be more the possession guy, a guy that Lamar could rely on. He's not going to be available till late October, November, right? Then you got both your star running backs out. You got Dobbins and Edwards. They're both out. You lose what is really the core of your defense, which is an elite secondary. You lose half of that at the corner position with Marcus Peters going down for the year. You're not going to have Jimmy Smith in this game. Again, I know we want to all believe like, hey, the Ravens are going to be just fine. They're not. They're not getting their injuries out of the way early. This is going to continue to compound as we get into the year, and I think that's what makes things so difficult. I had the hot take on Tuesday to say, the Ravens aren't going to make the playoffs. Obviously, I was being a bit. That was a hot take episode, so obviously that was, a bit hyperbolic,
exaggerated. But
yeah. But today, no, I think there's a legitimate chance that this Ravens team. Look, Lamar Jackson's a very good quarterback, but boy, oh boy, I mean, these are the walking wounded at this point. It is only going to get worse for this team. These guys, look, everyone we know about now, Bateman, we know is not coming back until October, November. Peters is not coming back. J.K. Dobbins ain't walking through that door, right? Gus Edwards ain't walking through that door. And as I talked about on Tuesday's show, they lack this real explosion on offense, especially in the running game. Is Le'Veon Bell going to rip off 20, 30, 40 yarders? I watched him the last year he was good in Pittsburgh. I think he had like 2 20-yard runs that entire year, and he was still good. And back in 2017, it's 2021. Okay, Le'Veon's not going for 40 yards at a clip, right? Neither is Devonta Freeman, who they just got, and they better hope that Tyson Williams is the guy because, boy, oh boy, I mean, all of a sudden, this is an offense that, much like it was in the middle of last season, needs to go on more 10, 13-play drives, and can you count on this offense to do that consistently? I think it's an open question about this team. One thing I want to point out about this game, I'm going to talk about this with 2 games this year. Fans are back this year. It's one thing in watching college football over the last 2 weeks, you kind of remember, oh, right, fans make the game so much better, right? They make it more fun. Last year was so sterile and just weird watching games with fake crowd noise and, there's a delay of it and whatnot and all that weirdness that we have. No, fans are back. And the one thing to notice about college, and I understand college fans are different, but there were like 5 road favorites in college football who none of them covered, and 3 of them lost outright. Nebraska going to Illinois, lost that game outright. Ohio State, Minnesota, that game was far closer than I think a lot of people thought right up until the end. North Carolina, VTech. VTech's a great
Washington lost the Huskies.
Yeah. I think that was a home game for them. I think that was a home game for them. But LSU went to UCLA, where UCLA doesn't even have a good crowd, okay? UCLA has a bad crowd. No one shows up to UCLA games. And LSU was a fraud, by the way. They lost that game. Notre Dame went to Florida State, had to go to overtime. Crowds are going to matter. And we have 2 games in the AFC North this week where we have road favorites, and Baltimore is one of them. Look, this is the first time. I don't know that Vegas is going to have a good crowd, but this is the first time that Las Vegas will have any fans in the stands for a home game. The first time ever. That's why this is a Monday night game. I know this seems like a weird matchup for Monday night, but it's because they want to give Vegas that true opening of their stadium. That's going to matter. Fans are going to matter again in this one. The Ravens are favored by 4.5. I'm going to take the Raiders in this one. Give me the points, 4.5 points, absolutely. And I like the over in this one too. The Raiders defense is absolute trash. They were bad last year. Here are the names that they've tried to add to this team to get better. Ngakoue, Quentin Jefferson, Solomon Thomas, Gerald McCoy, KJ Wright, Casey Hayward, Trevon Moehrig. Does any of those names make you think that this defense is really going to get all that better? No, I do not think this Raiders defense is going to be all that much better than it was a year ago. I think the Ravens can still score in this game, but I think the Raiders will keep up with them. Again, like Sonny said, there's big question marks on what are they going to do with Darren Waller at the tight end position. The Raiders kind of have this kind of mini Chiefs, this baby Chiefs offense that they have where they want Henry Ruggs to be like Tyreek Hill with Waller being their Travis Kelce. Ruggs is just Ruggs is the issue there. I do like the other guy they have, Brian Edwards. He was a very good draft pick a couple years back. Yeah.
You have to mention that if they're trying to run the Chiefs offense, they're also saying Derek Carr.
Oh, yeah. Derek Carr is
which might be
my homie.
The biggest.
Not quite there, but I still like him to put up 20 to 30. And I think this is a game played in the high 20s to 30s. I still think the Ravens are going to score against a defense this bad, but I'll take the Ravens. I'll take the points, or I'll take the Raiders, and I'll take the points. 4.5 is too many for this one.
Is there an over or under on Lamar's all-purpose yards I could take? Because
yes,
I would
think
like to.
Yeah, you should.
I don't know what it is, but I want the over on it.
Whatever it is. Let's go through some super chats here. We have, do you think Jamar Chase gets at least 1 catch this week, Ace?
Another big story today was Pro Football Talk quoting an interview from 3 days ago and only using part of it, right? Because he was asked a question about the differences between the footballs, and he answered it, but they just put in his answer from just the footballs. Yes, I think that Jamar Chase is definitely going to get 1 catch. I can't wait, honestly, until Sunday happens, because I think that for the most part, this has been the most overrated and overreacted to news that I have seen in a while. So I think that Jamar Chase is going to be fine. I think the mental makeup of Jamar Chase is why I trust him. And he came from the same college as Justin Jefferson, where they had this thing that they called the Summer of 10,000 Catches, where they all competed constantly throughout the summer, catching any kind of thing that they could to hit that 10,000 mark. So I don't think that it's going to be an issue. I think he definitely will have a catch week 1 for sure.
That quote, though, and look, let's be fair to Jamar. Ace is absolutely right. If you read the full context of the interview, right, it's not like he's blaming all his drops on the ball. Okay, he's not doing that. It's a long interview where he talks about how he's got to be better, concentrated. This stuff's unacceptable. I got to be better. But however, to what his quote about the ball, where he says like, it's so much harder to see because there's no white stripes. You got to pay attention to the laces. Look, Jamar, maybe that's true. but you can't say you right now just cannot say that. Just say, hey, I don't care that the ball's different. I got to be better. I got to concentrate better because my goodness, it
the
does.
only thing that I took away from that quote was like, why is he talking about it in detail like this? Like, he doesn't need to be doing this. You know, if somebody asks you, you're going to be able to catch the ball on Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't care how many drops you had. Most guys are going to be like, yeah, I'll be all right. You know,
he was asked specifically about the ball, though. He was asked specifically about the changes.
He was at
the ball.
The entire interview. If you watch it, it's all about questions about drops. The entire interview was that. It was like they couldn't even get on to, how do you expect your first game to be? Because for the last couple of weeks, like Bengals media and just the media in general, that's like the hot take topic. So literally every question was about dropping the ball.
This is what I worry about. This is how it becomes something in his head. Now he thinking about it. Now he's thinking about ball laces. You know, all of a sudden you got Ben Simmons or worse.
It's a cyclical look. Drops are cyclical. Go back and look at like drops leaders from year to year. They change. Exactly. It's a roller coaster thing. It's not something you can count. You can't count on drops.
Yeah, you would say that.
I'm just saying. No, I mean, like Deontay Johnson had like 4 drops his rookie year, and then he went to having 14 last year, right? I mean, what changed? It's just once it starts, it's hard to stop. By the way, I do this super chat here where he says prediction: Lamar gets hurt and Huntley pops off. Which part of Huntley pops off? Like you think he breaks his arm, or like Ravens fans, you got to be more specific about which injury, how they get hurt.
He pops off as he becomes a good player. Is what he means.
His knee pops off, or like foot injury. Like you just got to be a little more specific, Ravens fans.
Game medicine here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the donation. Running back Gus Edwards and Peters has suffered great knee injury, torn ACL, both out season according to sources. Freeman signed to practice squad. Lord help us.
So he's a Ravens fan. Game medicine's a Ravens fan.
Yeah, I know. When I saw that pop out, I was like, you know what, Game Medicine, you a real G because you paid $10 just to hurt yourself.
Appreciate it.
He's a good follow on Twitter.
Getting away.
He's a good follow on Twitter. He keeps me up to date with injuries. Okay. Let's go now to a different game because I cannot take all this injury, all the negativity. Just push it out. I don't need this in England.
Listen, Baltimore's had a rough week.
Yes. So let's move from Baltimore.
And practice early because too many people got
too many people got injured to practice. Okay, let's cut this topic. Ace, go ahead, man. What do you think about Bengals-Vikings?
Bengals-Vikings is an interesting game. I think when I first looked at this in the offseason without being super familiar with the Vikings, I think I had this as a Vikings win. I had them beating us because I was thinking about the fact that Joe Burrow's coming back from a knee injury. He only got to play once in the preseason, if you even want to call it that, with those 3 plays. And I just wanted to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt coming into this game. And, I look across there and I see Dalvin Cook. I see an underrated quarterback in Kirk Cousins. I'm not going to say that he's great, but I don't think people, like when you look at his stats, it's probably not what you think about Kirk Cousins. And then you also have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. So you got some guys there. But really what I thought initially about was the defense, because Mike Zimmer being the former defensive coordinator, I just was, unaware that it was even fathomable for him to have a bad defense. And until I did a crossover, I believe a few days ago with an actual Vikings fan, I come to find out that they actually were bad last year on defense. They ranked 28th in the league, and that was shocking to me. They have 9 new starters on that defense. So one of the things that I was worried about is obviously the loss of Trey Waynes. That's going to hurt us tremendously because the way that the Vikings like to play is they like to line up Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen on opposite sides. And so they're going to attack one of your corners. So that made me somewhat worried about this game. But honestly, after talking to the Vikings fan and hearing what some of their issues are, especially with them not really having a dependable tight end, which was one thing that I was worried about going into this game, because the Bengals linebackers are definitely susceptible, I believe, over the middle until proven otherwise. It appears that they're not going to have a tight end really for this game. And so it's going to be interesting. I think that they're actually concerned about this game because they think that it should be a game they should just walk in and win. But there's a lot of question marks coming in, mainly about that Vikings defense. And from the Bengals side of things, I think that there's questions, right? But we're walking into the season fairly healthy with losing Trey Waynes. The only real question mark is Eli Apple. How much is he going to affect the game? And the Bengals can't allow that to happen. That's one of the things that they cannot let wreck this game plan is whoever Eli Apple is on, just wreck this game. So for me, I think that we're going to have to try to contain Dalvin Cook, and that's easier said than done because I used to live in Tallahassee. I tell the story all the time. Dalvin Cook was one of my favorite players coming out. I wanted the Bengals to draft him, and he's really lived up to those expectations. And he is a guy that can, at any moment, hit that home run, and the Bengals cannot allow that to happen. And then you talk about Justin Jefferson and those receivers, but I actually think that the Bengals and Joe Burrow are actually getting an easier matchup from a defensive standpoint than they will in week 2 with this Vikings defense, with these guys still trying to gain some kind of cohesion together. We're facing them at the right time, week 1, where they don't know what the chemistry is with these guys and that they're going to have to put it together. And generally, when you have a new defense like that, you probably have to wait until week 5, week 6 for that to happen when you're replacing that many starters. So I'm actually going to pick the Bengals in this one. I'm going to flip and go with the Bengals. I think that Joe Burrow and this offense will be able to do their thing on offense against this brand new defense. And they're going to have to be able to contain this Vikings offense. I think that it's still going to end up being a high-scoring game. But I think that the biggest X factor for us is also that the Vikings have a horrible special teams unit, which that was news to me as well that I learned the other day. And I think that the Bengals honestly actually have a pretty decent special teams unit. And I think that that's going to play a huge factor in this, especially with Evan McPherson. If Joe Burrow comes out rusty, we'll at least be able to depend on the guy, at least from what we've seen in preseason, that can actually make field goals instead of having to go for it on 4th down or wondering if Fat Randy is going to shank it off to the left. And I think that that's going to be a huge factor because I don't expect Joe Burrow to just come out and hit the ground running and, score 3 or 4 touchdowns. I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting probably 3 field goals or 2 field goals and a punt to start this game. And so I think that will be a huge X factor in the game is the special teams. And I think that the Bengals will tweak this one out 30-28. That's going to be my prediction.
So shout out to Farashi. Thank you for the donation. Steelers going to lose Sunday. Go Bills. Okay. Q. Go ahead, man, because I know you want to throw yourself into this Bengals Vikings.
Here we go.
I haven't even predicted more losses for the Bengals this year than some of the people on here, but I am deemed the Bengals hater. I think I the Bengals at the second highest record of everybody on here. I think I had them at 6 or 7 wins or something like that.
I had them at 6 as well, though. I think I had them at 6.
I think I put them at 7 because I was like, they normally be a 6-win team. I think that's 7 nowadays. So I had them at 7.
I'm the hater.
Yeah, so Tony's the hater, but it all gets thrown
always had
to me because Quincy, don't want to buy into certain things when it comes to what the Bengals are buying into. It's all good. But when you talk about this Bengals game versus the Vikings, it's in Cincinnati, which is a benefit to them. But I do think that just right now, I think Minnesota is just a better team, and they've just been together longer than Cincinnati is. When you look at what they got, Gary Kubiak back out there as offensive coordinator again, even though he was supposed to come to the Browns, but I'll let that one go. They have Dalvin Cook. They feel really good about their right tackle out there. Offensive line is but they have some pieces that they feel better about. And then they have really good wide receivers, right? If we talk about the Bengals having a good passing attack, I think right now, you would say Minnesota, they have a more established passing attack right now because we haven't seen Joe Burrow out there for an extended period of time. Neither have we seen Jamar Chase. So Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, are they healthy? I got to double check and make sure they're healthy. But
they are
healthy with a Dalvin Cook. I think it's going to be very hard for the Bengals to overcome that or to keep up with that, just because I don't know what this offensive line is going to look like. I don't know what Joe Burrow is going to look like coming back off that ACL injury. Not saying that he's going to look bad, but I think the Vikings are going to be able to put up a considerable amount of points. I don't know if the Bengals are going to be able to keep pace with them in week 1 when they have so many new moving parts. So I would probably go Minnesota here. I'll probably say it's going to be somewhere around the lines of 34-24.
Okay.
Wow.
So Q has the Vikes. Tony.
So this is another one, much like we just talked about the Ravens, right? Where you have kind of a road favorite, and this is Joe Burrow's first ever home game. And this is essentially Joe Burrow's first game in front of a packed crowd in Cincinnati. Yet the Vikings are favored. Look, I understand that you look at the talent on this roster, and yes, you would say, okay, the Vikings are the better team. I will say though, looking at Ace talked about these defenses. Both teams defensively are going through this rebuild for their pass rush. I looked up some pressure numbers for both of these teams. Well, first of all, did you guys who was the leading sack guy for Minnesota last year? It was a tie, but I'll give you a hint.
Was it Hunter?
No, Hunter didn't even play last year. He was out. Barr might have tied. Yannick Ngakoue, 4 sacks.
I was about to say, okay, I was going to say it's probably
Yannick
Ngakoue.
Baltimore. Yeah. No, the Minnesota Vikings were horrific when it came to pass rush last year. They had a couple guys tied for 4 sacks. Yannick Ngakoue, one of them. Yannick Ngakoue, by the way, for those of you who don't remember, traded to Baltimore early last year. Yeah, week 5. So not great. Not great. Now, Minnesota is adding back Danielle Hunter, who was a double-digit sack guy back when he was back in 2019. So they're hoping that he returns to form. Otherwise, it's just not a lot going on. They added Patrick Peterson to this defense. I mean, that's secondary, I think. They still got Harrison Smith as a safety there. They add Patrick Peterson, Brashad Breeland. They've got some talent there in the secondary to try and slow down Joe Burrow. But I do wonder in this game, how much are we going to see a game plan that revolves around Joe Burrow throwing the ball 30, 40 times in this game, coming back from an ACL, even against a pass rush that probably doesn't scare you a ton. I just worry about Zach Taylor and knowing what he knows about how the consistent hits on Burrow kind of accumulated to the point where he tore his ACL. Wonder if we see a ton of Joe. It's a thing I think about a lot of these games this week is I think we're probably going to see more running this week in these AFC North games than we may be expecting. I think the same thing when you look at that Vegas team. Remember, they signed Kenyon Drake this year to go along with Josh Jacobs. I don't think they signed both those guys to run the ball 15 times a game. I think you're going to see a steady dose of those two as well. So I think Joe Mixon coming back, you're going to see a steady dose of him in this game. I think the big thing for Minnesota offensively is, like I said, the loss of Irv Smith Jr. A lot of Minnesota guys thought that Irv Smith was going to have a breakout year as a tight end for that team. He's out for the year, and they just have no one. So, if the Bengals can't contain Thielen and Jefferson, then yes, this one could get away from them. But I think this game's going to look much more like the opener did for the Bengals last year against the Chargers, where that was a very low-scoring game, a game that came down right to the end. So if you've got the Bengals +3, if you can get 3 points for the Bengals, I will take that, and I'll take the under 47.5.
So you're picking the Bengals to win outright?
Yeah, you take them +3. You take them +3. If you take them +3, you're saying win outright. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Come on, Tony. Making people think what you're picking. You have to be straight.
Tony's predictions look like math equations. I'm like, what are you?
I'm picking against the spread here. Picking it straight up is too easy.
Pick it straight up is.
The spread is more fun. The spread is more fun. I like under. I like the under in this one. 47.5 is too many points.
I'm a money line guy though, because those over and unders and spreads bite me sometimes.
Yeah, you and Ace be out there all that gambling math. I'll be going down my time like, who's doing algebra?
Money line is straight up. Money line is straight up. Winner or loser.
Well, you can
the
listen.
Odds are different.
Yeah, you could probably get some good number on a good number on
the Bengals.
Yeah. It's probably even at least.
So this is the thing that for this particular game, I think it's gonna revolve in one main thing: trenches. O-line versus O-line.
We're back, baby.
We're back, and this is the reason. You mentioned Tony Hunter's coming back from the Vikings, right? Yep. And then Bengals brought from the Saints Henderson, right?
Yeah.
So
the Vikings do have a pretty weak left tackle. They don't have the strongest line themselves.
Yes, but that is my point. Which of these O-lines is going to help more, right? And I do think both of these teams should contain the amount of attempts to the on the passing side. They both need to play action to slow these pass rushers, because you might say, "Well, Sonny, neither of these teams has strong pass rushers." True, but your pass rusher can be elevated by a very weak O-line, and we'll see which is the weaker O-line. I think whoever the weaker O-line is the team that's going to lose. Which one it is, I have no idea. And for that reason alone, I'm just leaning here Bengals being at home, right? Crowd's probably going to be super energetic.
It's going to be crazy.
So this is why I'm leaning Bengals, not necessarily because I think they're that much better. I cannot pinpoint which O-line is going to be better, and whatever O-line is going to be better. So if the Vikings O-line outplays the Bengals O-line, then that's game. I think it's going to be like that, because if Burrow gets pressure all over the place and there's no holes for Mixon, I mean, the offense won't move, right? Same thing for the other side. If there's pressure on Cousins and there's no holes for
Dalvin Cook.
then that's it. That's game. So I think that O line is again very two weak O lines, and the D lines are not that great. But whatever O line does a better job, that's gonna be the winner for now. Just gonna go with the Bengals because they're the home team. If it was in Minnesota, I think I would have gone Minnesota. But Bengals at home, I'm just gonna give it to Bengals. Okay.
Yeah, and then one other thing, Sonny, because you hit on a good point there, which is the idea of like, hey, it's Danielle Hunter going up against this Bengals offensive line. Look, the Bengals offensive line right now, if there's a real weakness today, it's got to be the interior, right? And you just look at the Vikings and their defensive line; they're not, does Michael Pierce or Dalvin Tomlinson or Sheldon Richardson?
Pierce was ready for us.
Okay, but do those guys scare you as interior pass rushers?
Sheldon Richardson was great.
Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, they were so great that they're no longer on your team. Yeah, I got it.
Look, we did an upgrade.
Pearson got paid. I'm sorry, Pierce got paid. Pierce got paid.
Yeah, so if those guys scare you, then maybe you bet the Vikings in this one, but not me.
Okay. Joshua Matter says, I'm late. Has Q got mad and went off?
You missed it. It was on the pre-show.
It was on the pre-show.
It was on the pre-show.
Yes, the pre-show was gold. The pre-show was gold.
It was. It's a classic pre-show better than the show.
I was ready. I was telling Sonny to hit the live button. I was like, show started.
Let's go.
It's already on.
No intro. If you would have seen the moment that I saw that TJ Watt signed his deal, it was very fun.
Yeah, Tony got really weird when he signed the deal. Like a little bit too much in my opinion. But anyway, Tony, let's go with the Steelers.
Of course.
What do you think about this game?
Steelers at Bills, not the game you want to start with if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, because the Steelers, going to Buffalo again. The Buffalo's the kind of much like the Bengals and and Vegas. This is not a team that had a ton of fans in the stands last year, and Buffalo is nuts. Their fans are absolutely crazy. This stadium is going to be absolutely rocking for this game. The Steelers do have some injuries coming in. Highsmith did not practice today. Keith Butler saying he might be limited in the game. We already know that TJ Watt is likely going to have to be on a pitch count, even though he did sign this deal, which means we're going to see a ton of Melvin Ingram. Listen, I think Melvin Ingram can be fine, but as I've said in the past, you don't want to expose yourself to too much Melvin Ingram, because the worst case scenario is he gets hurt early, and then what are you left with? You got Jameer Jones. He's wearing number 8.
Yeah, he ain't getting no.
Yeah, it's not. Listen, the Steelers have done a poor job this offseason with numbers. I've talked about that on Locked On Steelers. Look, here's the thing for the Steelers in this game. They cannot afford, I think, against a team like Buffalo, as high powered as they are offensively, to start slowly. Right? This is a team in Pittsburgh a year ago that was the worst team in the first quarter of any team in the National Football League. Just 42 points total scored in the first quarter last year, averaging less than a field goal. And you consider the fact that this has been such a strong defense. If you gave them a lead, if this team was able to give this defense a lead, well, that is such an advantageous position, because you can start to get teams out of their game plan and start to get after the quarterback. That has not been the MO so far. It's what I'm looking for from this Matt Canada offense. Right, we've seen sprinkles of how different it's going to be. Very likely going to be more about getting Najee Harris involved. I think he's going to get force fed in this game, and then how much of the stuff we haven't seen so far that we did see out of Matt Canada in the past. All the schematic shifts, the motions before the play, moving guys around, trying to get defenses off balance that way. The jet sweeps, the 2-back sets, the 2 tight end sets, the unbalanced lines, the play action, the moving pocket, all the stuff that we've seen out of Matt Canada in the past that we didn't see a ton of in the preseason. How much is that does he unleash in week 1 to try and get this offense started early on? And the other thing to watch for offensively in this game is Pat Freiermuth was listed as an or under tight end with Eric Ebron as tight end 1. I think that means that Freiermuth is going to be the tight end in 1 tight end sets. The reason why I think this offense needs to start so quickly is because defensively, boy, oh boy, are there a ton of question marks coming into this game. Now, last year, this was a matchup that the Steelers defense basically dominated for the first half. The Bills scored 3 points in the first half offensively last year. The game really shifted on that pick 6 by Ben Roethlisberger. They did a great job of shutting down Josh Allen, an offense that was, absolutely lighting it up against everybody. They shut him down in the first half of last year's game. Now, Diggs got going in the second half of that game, and the floodgates opened. But the questions this year, you lose Steven Nelson. You have Joe Hayden still, but is Hayden going to travel with Diggs wherever he goes? Is that how they're going to play this? They usually don't do that. Or do you trust Cam Sutton, who's going to be a first-year starter at outside corner in the base? Are you going to trust him to cover Diggs at times? Or yeah, as Keith Butler said today in his interview, he's expecting more of like an 80-20 pass to run ratio out of Buffalo. This may be a game where they're going to be more in nickel and dime. And so then it's going to be about James Pierre, my boy, going up against Stephon Diggs. You guys know I love James Pierre, but boy, oh boy, you want to talk about being thrown to the wolves early on in your career. Hey, go up against one of the best route runners in the league early on.
Week 1.
My goodness. And and as I talked about, you've got the availability of Highsmith. You've got TJ Watt and his pitch count that he's going to be on. Stephon Tuitt will not play in this game. There is a ton about this game to not like if you're a Steeler fan, because if this offense doesn't get going early and Buffalo does get going early, it's going to throw off the Steelers' game plan. They're going to have to go back to what we saw from the past of this team just kind of being a Ben runs the show type of offense. They really need this offense to kind of sustain drives, shorten the game if that's how they're going to win it. I don't like the Steelers' chances in this one because I think defensively there are so many question marks, and I haven't even talked about the question marks in the middle of the field. Devin Bush hadn't played well in preseason because he's still coming back from an ACL. Schobert has just signed. We didn't see much of him. What we did see, he wasn't great either because he's still learning. So there's just a ton of question marks, and going up against one of the best offenses in the league, not a great matchup. So I like the Bills in this one, but I will say this. There's one thing we need to talk about, which is Josh Allen and a potential. Look, we talk about Josh Allen, and we imagine that what he was last year, he can only get better now. Josh Allen was a miracle last year from the progression that he made year over year. Okay, this is a guy who in his first 2 years was a below average to bad quarterback. And then he turned into last year this MVP guy. But no one talks, and everyone talks this year about him getting even better and being a real MVP candidate this year. But there is every bit a chance that he could regress back to the quarterback we saw him be, or closer to that guy than what he was last season. And so if that does happen, obviously that makes the Steelers' case a lot easier. But I just, again, for all the question marks I have defensively in this game, and then, knowing what the Steelers have to do offensively early in this football game to keep themselves in it, I can't pick against the Bills right now. I think that they're going to win this game. I do, though. If you want another bet here from me, I like the under in this game, 48.5, because even if the Steelers get blown out, 31-10 is under 48. I think 48 is too many. So I like the under in this game.
Okay, super chat here from Professor Chaos. I have to go back to work. I'm just praying Lamar Jackson does not get a Liz Frank injury. Concern from a Brown fan. Okay, Ace, what do you think?
Brown fan coming in.
Not actual concern. That is concern trolling because you put the injury name out. You know it's bad luck.
Yeah. Man, it would be terrible.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've got the Bills winning this game, and it's really, as Tony said, a really bad matchup when you take a look at the Steelers' weaknesses or questions and you look at some of the strengths of the Bills, right? So when I started off my prediction for the Steelers, I said that I had issue with them losing so many corners. Yes, Joe Hayden is still there, but now you're going up against a team that has, 3, even 4, if you include Gabriel Davis, 4 good receivers, right? So you're going to have to keep up with that, let alone Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, and those guys. You also have Emmanuel Sanders there now, who adds a new wrinkle. And then you also can't forget about Dawson Knox as well. So the Steelers secondary still has concerns to me. So I'm wondering how they're going to look week 1 against a formidable team. Then you're going against Josh Allen, and this Bills team does not really run the ball. If you paid attention to them last year, they didn't run the ball. So they're going to be coming out early and throwing the ball. And another issue is the Steelers are also learning and working through a new offense this year, right? With Matt Canada. Is that offense going to be ready to go toe-to-toe with one of the best passing offenses in the league week 1? I don't think so. I think that it would be a hard ask to ask that. And then how is it going to mesh if the Bills come out passing and the Steelers are trying to establish their rookie running back in this new running game? How much is that going to hold up in this game before they're going to be forced to pretty much punt on that and try to keep up with them on the scoreboard through the air? That's a concern for me. And then you also talk about, and I've talked about the offensive line, a lot of question marks. Zach Banner to IR, completely new guy out there on the offensive line with some new guys. If you watched in the preseason, I wasn't a big fan of this guy, so I'm not gonna, toot my horn or anything, but Gregory Rousseau looked like a monster in the preseason. Now, that is just the preseason, but they do have some edge rushers there now. You talk about A.J. Epinesa, you talk about Gregory Rousseau, you talk about Jerry Hughes. So the Bills did go out this offseason and improve their pass rush, and we'll have to see how that works out. But if the Steelers' offensive line isn't ready for that, I think that they're going to have a tough time getting anything established, especially with Big Ben in terms of that. So I think that those factors primarily are why I feel like this game is a mismatch. I don't think that it's going to continue into the season for the Steelers. We'll have to see. Obviously, it's going to lighten up weeks 2 and 3 as far as in comparison to Buffalo week 1. But I do think that this is a mismatch, and I do think that Buffalo, with it also being in Buffalo, Bills Mafia is definitely going to play a huge factor in this game as well. And so with all of those, I have to give this to the Buffalo Bills, and I think the Steelers are going to take the L week 1. But we have to see how they fight and how they perform, because this is going to give a test of, are the Steelers really a contender this year or not? And it's hard to do that week 1. Right, because we have another game to discuss that's like that, and everything's new week 1, so you really can't say that right now. But this is at least a measuring point to know where they're at to start off week 1.
Cute.
Yeah. One, if Gregory Rousseau has more than a sack in this game against the Steelers offensive line is in trouble. Okay.
Yeah, everyone's love for Gregory Rousseau coming through.
Yeah, if Rousseau gets off on the Steelers, would I be concerned about that? I know Chooks is back at right tackle. I don't know what y'all doing with y'all offensive line situation.
It's better with him at right tackle. He's a terrible left tackle. Let me tell you, after watching him in 3 preseason games, yikes.
As a Bengals fan on Cedric Ogbuehi, the whole switching sides of the line thing does not bode well. If you're a trash,
he's back to right tackle, which is his natural position.
His natural position.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what he played.
As long as he's not naturally trash, then he should be.
Well,
good.
No, he's naturally trash. No, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's a bad right tackle too. But my goodness, that is on the left tackle. No, thank you.
Another factor. I mean, like right now, if you're the Ravens, you probably feel best outside of Ronnie Stanley to Villanova, and he's a switch candidate. So we'll see how that goes. But when we're talking about the Steelers here, I don't think anybody's really expecting the Steelers to win this game outside of maybe Filipponi or somebody like that. But
Filipponi's not picking the Steelers in this one.
No, Mark Madden is though.
No. I think he's going to troll. These are. By the way, Steeler fans got all in this Colin Cowherd thing today. Colin Cowherd's been saying the exact same thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers for about 7 years now. Why does any Steeler fans, when you tweet at him and when you get all upset about him, that's exactly what he wants. Just ignore the guy. He literally says the exact same thing about the Steelers every single year, no matter what the case is going to be, no matter what the roster looks like. He's going to say the same thing.
Yeah, he's the only guy that trolls both the Browns and the Steelers. It's weird,
the big fan bases. He trolls all the big fan bases because he knows that drives ratings. That gets people watching,
views, clicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to Bengals fans because I don't think he knows.
Here we go.
Nah, he tried to say some stuff about Burrow, but
he likes
Burrow. Burrow didn't get upset about it, and
ever since the Patriots, right? That's his team, right? Where he goes all the Patriot. Well, he's a Bill Belichick guy. I don't know what his preferences are, but yeah, when it comes to the Steelers, I don't think the Steelers going to win this game. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I mean, it might be close in the first half. I think it's going to be one of those where the Bills slowly pull away here. Tony is right about the questions about Josh Allen. I mean, he was a dude I was sure going to get the biggest payday out of all 3 of them, just because people can talk themselves into Josh Allen a lot more than they can talk themselves into giving a Lamar Jackson or giving a Baker Mayfield that kind of money, right? When we're talking about $40 million, the template is Josh Allen when people look at it. Big old dude, 6'5", cannon arm. It's not necessarily an athlete like Lamar Jackson who could do so many different things, or a guy who's up, 6'2", like Baker Mayfield. So we kind of knew he was going to get the big money the second he showed anything. But there is something too, this year he showed something for 1 year, and maybe that might be the Stephon Diggs effect on him. Yeah. I still find it hard to believe it's Brian Dable that did anything for Josh Allen. I would rather credit Josh Allen and his offseason work, because I don't know if I've ever sat through a Brian Dable offense, but if you think Greg Roman is vanilla and bland, Brian Dable made me stop watching the Browns for a year because his offenses were so terrible.
I think he changed his ways though. They weren't that vanilla. And Buffalo's offense.
I don't care how far he's changed his ways. Yeah. That dog can't go far from the tree. That it was that bad. I would have to be shocked by some of the concepts he's running out there for me to just change on it. I think Josh Allen had a lot more to do with that. Given that Josh Allen did have a lot more to do with it, and that his offensive coordinator isn't the one that, if he had a genius, if it was Kyle Shanahan where this change happened, okay, yeah, I would believe that probably would be more him. But I think it's probably all Josh Allen. I think he'll be solid. I think Buffalo's going to be a really good team. I think they're just in that upper echelon of the AFC right now. And I think they're probably one of the better teams to beat. I think Pittsburgh's a solid team, but just not a good enough team to go out there first game, beat Buffalo.
I mean, imagine what it would say about
given Ben has had a history of just odd game one performances in the past. I mean,
are you talking about the tie? You talking about the tie?
Yeah, there was the tie. There was the first game against New England.
We don't talk about that one.
The
game that shall not be mentioned.
Yeah, there have been some doozies to start the season off with him. So, I think this is probably a pretty safe bet. I don't know. Is this the one I picked? No, I think I picked San Francisco, but it came down to either Buffalo or San Francisco.
In the eliminator?
My eliminator, yeah. So
I'll be honest, I also consider Buffalo in the eliminator, but I can't do that to my own team. I mean, come on. Can't do that. Can't do that.
You have to, right? But
no.
Yeah, don't you have to pick every team?
No, 17. You have to pick 17 games.
Oh, 17. Okay.
So you only have to pick half the league.
But it might be smart.
Never pick against the Steelers, no matter what.
Let me say this also, because Tony's here. The rules are you pick a team until week 10. And week 10, you pick 2 teams.
Ooh, so that's 20.
Make it harder.
That's 24 teams?
Yeah.
So you have to.
Yeah, dog. Let me tell you, the Steelers ain't making that cut. You got to take them.
It's hard. I will say, and Quincy touched on this, right? I mean, I don't think, look, if the Steelers lose this game, Steelers fans should not panic. Okay, the Bills are projected to be one of the best teams in the league. We know the Steelers have started slow, in years past. I know they didn't start slow last year, but they have started slow in years past, especially even defensively last year, they started slow. This is an offense that is, like Ace said, is learning an entirely new scheme, and this is a brand new offensive line. There's no shame in losing to Buffalo in Buffalo early in the year. But boy, oh boy, if they come out and win this football game, that's a different conversation. That is a different conversation.
Buffalo is gonna be crazy too. Bills fan, Bill Mafia, they always represent. So you can imagine with big expectations, that stadium is gonna be rocking.
Does the stadium actually get loud though because it's small?
Yeah, but I think it's tight. I think it's one of those. I think it's one of those stadiums that's old and tight.
Yeah,
it's not like one of those.
I heard it's rocking.
I know it gets loud and crazy there, but I don't know if it necessarily gets so loud that it becomes like a factor on the field like it does.
When we play them, you can hear the fan noise because they were not pumping it, and then I think they had like 12,000 fans or something like that. So, but this is the thing: can the Steelers win? I can see. I give them a 5% chance, and this is how.
Just 5? That's low.
Just 5. This is how you can win. This is how the Steelers can win. Goes back to, I don't want to repeat myself, but that O-line, because the D-line.
Trenches? Are you saying the trenches?
Not necessarily the whole trenches, because I do think the Steelers are going to dominate the defensive line. But Buffalo was not a good pass rushing team at all. They went and got Quincy's boy, Rousseau. So if the Steelers O-line can hold that D-line, now Big Ben can get comfortable because what Big Ben likes is time, right? Usually he buys for time. But if the passer doesn't come and now he has time, I think that
he got rid of the ball quickly, more quickly than anyone last year.
But that's how they changed the offense in the past couple of years. Big Ben, in my opinion, has always been a quarterback that is more comfortable. Like he did that with Haley. Haley got there, right? They went back to screens, let's throw the ball quickly. Big Ben, in my opinion, has been a quarterback that likes to buy time and just keep holding because he likes the big play. Buffalo's secondary is not great, right? We can talk about Buffalo's secondary is not great. And
you don't think so?
I think they have White. They have White.
I don't know. They have White. They have Poyer. I think they have a pretty talented secondary.
Pretty solid, yeah.
I'm not big on their secondary.
Shout out to the Browns for cutting Jordan Poyer. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you don't hold on, Sonny. You don't like Teron Johnson, or are you just upset about Teron Johnson?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of none of that.
Teron Johnson he was pretty good in the playoffs last year. You would say.
Yeah. The playoff for the Ravens and them, it was a playoff that the win and the elements had a lot to effect, right? But anyway, Tony, don't deviate this conversation. I'm trying to give you guys a chance. I'm trying to give you guys a chance, okay? But if Big Ben gets time and Najee Harris can run the ball well and play action becomes a factor, obviously then the Steelers can have a chance in this game. Now, concern is that also the Steelers secondary is, where's the answer with Diggs? right? There's none. There's none. And I think the one thing with Buffalo, and I agree here also with Tony, I think Josh Allen will regress a little bit because I think they're gonna go back to be mostly a one-sided team. That team could not run the ball last year. They were not good on the running side of the ball. And then Josh Allen obviously was phenomenal in the passing game, boom. But if teams can scheme them out and force them to run, and the Steelers, the problem is injuries right now. Heisman not playing, TJ Watt didn't really had a full preseason, meaning or off season because the hold and all that. Tuitt is out. No, not Tuitt. Hayward is out.
No. Tuitt's out. Hayward's playing.
So that obviously also concerned that D-line's a little bit weaker. Look, to be honest, I think this is if you're playing Survivor, Buffalo's a good pick this week. I think.
I reversed my pick. Steelers win easy. Blow them out. Blow them out.
Okay, now mark the matchup for the
real quick. My bad. Real quick. I will say this though. I could easily see Josh Allen having one of them Josh Allen games where he throws like 3 picks, and this just becomes very messy. Steelers like think one out. Like
if James Pierre has a pick in this game, or let's say a pick 6, you guys will literally never hear the end of it. I had a guy, by the way, we had a guy in the comments last week say, Tony, why didn't you do a James Pierre hot take? Because everything I've ever said about James Pierre has been a hot take. Every single word out of my mouth about James Pierre until this point has been a hot take.
I thought you were about to be like James Pierre can't be a hot take because everything I say about him is facts.
No, that's also true. That's also true, and that's why I accept everyone's apology.
Okay, you see, Tony had to think a little bit too far. He could have said Minka because I agree with you. He could have said Minka, but no, he went all in.
Just wait.
Okay.
When JP.
Okay, marquee matchup this week, right, for the AFC North is Browns and Chiefs. So Q. What do you think of this game?
I'm gonna let Ace get the first dibs on this one.
Okay.
Just because
Ace.
I know you got stuff to do.
I think for this game, I think that it's the most exciting matchup, as you mentioned, right? You're talking about 2 marquee teams in the AFC. The thing that just is, though, it's the matchup of the playoff game, right? And both of these teams have completely retooled on both sides, right? You know, Kansas City went out and retooled their offensive line. The Browns retooled that defense and added some more aspects to it. So I think it's going to be a fun and exciting game. Is this game in Cleveland or is it on the road?
No, it's in Kansas City.
Kansas City. Kansas City is another place that's always tough to play. And it's just the Chiefs. I mean, when you're going against Pat Mahomes, that's just the short straw draw of a week 1 matchup, right? That's not who you want to try to establish yourself against. Unfortunately, I feel like this game actually they did a disservice to the NFL by scheduling it for week 1. I think it should have been mid-season so that way these guys could be fully ready to go. But I think that's going to play into the advantage of the Chiefs because most of their team is the same minus the offensive line changes, right? So that's still going to be a factor, but their offensive line towards last season was completely horrible and had Mahomes running for his life. And so I think that's going to play into the Chiefs' hands. But I'm interested to see how the Browns perform against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that they do have the firepower to contend with them as we saw last season. But for me, the X factor and generally in every game, it's always going to be your quarterback. And Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. I don't think it's really questioned at this point. So we know that he's going to be there, and it's really going to fall on Baker Mayfield depending on how this game goes, right? If they're putting up points in bunches, he's going to have to catch up with him as well. But we'll have to see how this goes. It's going to be interesting. You got Myles Garrett going against this new offensive line that they have in Kansas City. So I think that the Browns could definitely put up a great fight against the Chiefs. However, I do think the Chiefs are just going to end up doing what the Chiefs do, which is pretty much, just get on a streak from week 1 up until they have a surprise loss from someone that you weren't expecting. And I think that is how this game will continue to go. So I think the Browns keep it close with them, but I think at the end of the day, Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs end up with the W.
Okay. Great. Cute.
So the biggest thing about this game is, one, I'm happy to see that Patrick Mahomes is healthy. Because that means we won't see Chad Henne.
Andy Reid's secret weapon. Don't tempt fate.
Don't sleep on Chad Henne, guys. You know what I mean? So luckily,
dual
the Browns
threat too. Run or pass.
right now they're putting the Mahomes kid in. So we're not going to see Chad Henne, which is a good thing, right? But in all seriousness, this is going to be an intriguing matchup because it's going to be a test for both teams on both sides of where they kind of restructured what they felt like their biggest problem or the biggest thing holding them back from winning it all last year was. When you look at the Chiefs, entirely new offensive line. They're not returning not a single starter from last year. They have 3 rookies essentially on the right side of the ball, and they have Joe Thuney and Orlando Brown Jr., who we're going to talk about a little bit because he's been a little shaky out there at offensive tackle, at left tackle right there. So that's their situation on offensive line. They've rebuilt it. The Browns, secondary, not good last year. Needed to rebuild it. We're going to have Greg Newsome out there that's new. We're going to have John Johnson, Troy Hill out there. JOK is probably going to start. So that's going to be a bunch of new guys there in that situation. So it's going to be them testing both things, right? Now, when it comes to the offensive line, I have seen Orlando Brown in preseason for the Chiefs. It's been very up and down, more on the downside than it's been on the up. One of the things I noticed that when I was talking to Ryan Tracy from RGR football was he was telling me about how the Chiefs don't really leave anybody in protection to help the tackles, right? They don't do a lot of chips because they have way too much talent to leave back there to block. That might be a problem for Orlando Brown because we used to joke about it when he was here, but Orlando Brown do got them big old slow feet. And that can be an issue. That won't be an issue in Baltimore when they leave guys on the line and they leave running backs back constantly to block in protection. It's not that safety net's not going to be there for him in Kansas City. And when you're talking about the Browns being able to line up a Myles Garrett there, being able to put Clowney anywhere on the defensive line, you're not knowing which gap he's going to go at. The same thing with Myles Garrett. And when you're talking about young offensive linemen being in that situation of where the Browns can put at least like 5 or 6 guys on the line of scrimmage, and you're not going to know where they're going because Myles can go ace, he can go backside, front side, all that stuff. So that's going to be an interesting test for that offensive line. Not that I think the Browns have like a dominant defensive line. I've talked about the defensive tackles have been terrible so far in preseason. So I'm not out here saying the Browns are going to have like the Bucks defensive line from last year. But I do think that's going to be a worthwhile test. On offensive side of the ball, both teams really don't have that many question marks here. Like the biggest question mark you have for Kansas City is the offensive line. Other than that, everything should be fine there offensively. Same thing with the Browns. Without Odell, they were pretty good last year. With Odell, reasonably, logically speaking, unless we're like trying to add in some like mental things here, they should be much better. With him, with a healthy Kareem Hunt, with a healthy Nick Chubb, with a healthy Jarvis Landry to start the year. I mean, they should be fine there as far as keeping up with them and keeping up points. Look, this is going to be a game that I think is going to be changed by Myles Garrett and Myles Garrett alone because I think they're both going to be able to put up points. The difference is going to be who's going to be able to get 1 or 2 stops. I think defensively, the only player on the field that you can say can get a stop for the Cleveland Browns is going to be Myles Garrett. Same thing is going to go for Chris Jones. When I weigh those 2 things out, what's more likely? Chris Jones going off against the Browns offensive line, who Chris Jones at edge, he's been playing very well for the Chiefs in the preseason, or Myles Garrett going off on Orlando Brown Jr. or on a new rookie right tackle. I would give the edge to Myles Garrett. This is a toss-up, right? I don't think this game is going to be won by more than like 2.5 points if you want to think about it in that way. But I would just give the toss-up to the Browns here because obviously I want the Browns to win this game. But I think this is going to be a really solid game here. Hopefully both teams show up. I don't want to see a blowout either direction. I want to see a really hard-fought game here because, again, this would be a test for the Chiefs and knowing where that offensive line is and for the Browns knowing where their secondary stands. And, it might as well be that the Browns secondary gets toasted this week. That's not a reason to panic. I don't think anybody this week in any team has a reason to panic week 1, especially anybody in the AFC North. But for the Browns, I think it's going to be an intriguing matchup.
Tony.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with Quincy. I mean, there are a lot of intriguing matchups in this game. The rebuilt Browns secondary against a receiving core in Kansas City that, let's be honest, right? Look, we make fun of Sammy Watkins a lot, but like they didn't. It's not exactly like Kansas City has someone coming out there now who you're like, oh man, real upgrade over Sammy Watkins. Is it going to be Mecole Hardman? I mean, do we think that in two wide receiver sets you're going to have, two very undersized receivers in Kansas City? That's what they're going to line up with. I know there's been a lot of hype about Byron Pringle potentially in Kansas City. I'm interested to see who their number 2 receiver is. Remember, this is a team that wanted to get Juju in the offseason, wasn't able to make that happen. So look, they still have Tyreek Hill. They still have Travis Kelce. But I am interested to see, how does this team work in another receiver? And one of the things I think about this game, you look at this game last year. They played each other in the divisional round. That was a very low-scoring game, and it was a low-scoring game because there were not a lot of huge plays in that game. It was very methodical. Every drive in that game was very methodical. 10-play, 13-play drives, right? A lot of that. I think this week's game is going to be the same thing. And I don't understand, by the way, Quincy talked about this being like closer to a field goal type game. I see it the same way. I don't understand. Vegas has the line in this one at 6 for the Chiefs, even though it is a home game, and I understand the Chiefs at home. That's a great crowd. But where did we get this idea? Like this idea, people talk about Andy Reid on a bye week and all this on Andy Reid, great coach, going to be able to scheme around because he's had a year to think about Cleveland. Okay, Andy Reid has played in 6 playoff games in the last 2 years. Okay, 6 playoff games in the last 2 years, been to the Super Bowl both years. But let's not in 5 of those 6 games, the team was behind early. Very behind early in a lot of those games. Okay, this is Andy Reid. This myth of Andy Reid becoming all of a sudden this great coach who doesn't choke in big moments. No. He just happens to have an all-time great quarterback who can just bail him out when his teams come out flat and his game plans come out flat. Mahomes has bailed him out a lot of times. Ace, you got to run?
Yep, I got to run.
Yeah.
Great show, guys. Keep it going, and I will see you guys next week.
All right,
bro.
See you, man. So look, I don't think that this should be more than a field goal type game. So if I'm betting on this game and you can give me 6 points as Cleveland, even on the road, I'm going to take it because I think this game is going to be less about Mahomes and Baker. This is where I talked about earlier. I think there's going to be more running this year. I talked about this last year. Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting added to this Chiefs offense. How's that going to manifest itself? How are they going to work in what is a first-round running back into an offense that has been so heavily pass-oriented? And I think, he got hurt last year. Last year was a rough year for him because I think just from his body wasn't ready for the NFL. But he's now he's got a year under his belt. I think you're going to see more running, or potentially maybe not running, but just kind of getting the ball to CEH out of the backfield. Utilizing him in that way, which again I think is going to lead to methodical type drives in this one. The Browns secondary with Ronnie Harrison and Josh Johnson should be able to keep the Chiefs from getting gigantic plays and scoring super quickly, just like they did last year. And so, I like this game to be close like it was last year. I like it to be low scoring like it was last year. I think the Chiefs will win, but I just don't think it's going to be this, this back and forth 30-20 shootout.
Nah, I think the same way. And if they do run the ball a lot, right? The Chiefs do run the ball. Boy, get ready for me to cuss out Andrew Billings if they don't win that game.
Yeah. You've got a rebuilt offensive line for the Chiefs, who and then they did it much different than the Steelers did, because where the Steelers are going young, very young on their offensive line, they went out and got a bunch of vets, right? And not to say that they got all vets, because they did, by the way, they do have a rookie. They have a rookie center and I believe a rookie.
The Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs have a rookie center
they have a whole rookie right side. So
the right side, yeah.
Tackle and a center. So
exactly.
But they're technically not rookies because a couple of them sat out last year. But
Creed Humphrey is.
Creed Humphrey's a rookie. Their center is a rookie. Yeah. So I mean, it's look. Do you want to how much did Andy Reid learn from what happened against Tampa, where Mahomes under pressure every single play of that game, and now you've got this. And that was JPP, by the way, and Shaq Barrett, and now you've got Clowney and Myles Garrett. So, how much does he learn from that and figure, okay, let's run the ball, let's try to keep Mahomes upright and win that way.
But this is the difference here. Before that, our Bramley, let me go to Super Show real quick. Steeler will be a joke this year. Ben is watch. Go ahead, Q.
I haven't heard that one before. It's new.
Also, the key distinction is this is week 1 Myles Garrett, and sometimes week 1 Myles Garrett can be kind of mid. Other weeks, week 1 Myles Garrett can be kind of amazing. Remember the Pittsburgh game where he came up out of nowhere?
Stop. Why do you got to keep bringing that game up?
It caused like 5 turnovers.
Oh my goodness. It was a tie. All right. It ended in a tie.
Okay. So
it should have been a win.
Browns didn't win. There was a tie.
Myles Garrett forced
the win in my book.
Overtime.
The difference here, Tony, because I think your point's well taken between Tampa Bay and the Browns, but the difference is, as you remember, that middle of the Tampa defense have Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh, right? So
Yes.
that's way bigger for that middle. Now, here's my kicker, and you alluded to it a little bit. Clyde
Edwards-Helaire, yep.
CEH, I think is critical because if that O-line is going to be the big test, especially for the tackles, right? Myles Garrett, and I know people don't want to give the credit to Clowney. I think Clowney is going to be important for this Browns defense, but that middle, if Kansas City can establish a decent amount of run game, right, good yards per carry in that B gap, then the Browns are going to be in big trouble because now the play action can open up. And now that's just recipe for disaster. Now, on the other side, if the Browns can make Kansas City one-dimensional, right, they can just stop CEH, no run. Basically, they can build a wall and make Patrick Mahomes have to sit in that pocket. It could be a long day for Patrick Mahomes because now the edges can go get it, right? The edges can go get hunting. I'm not saying that means that the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to have any points. I'm just saying if there's an avenue for the Browns to win is before controlling or managing Patrick Mahomes is making that team one-dimensional. CEH cannot go off and run. And that includes him leaking out of the backfield and catching the ball, right? Because CEH was good also in the passing attack in college. So all that said, go ahead. You were going to say something?
Well, no, I was just going to say, it's funny you say that, but then, I start thinking about it, and it's like, if I'm a defensive coordinator, right? If I'm, what's the defensive coordinator's name in Cleveland? You hate him.
Joe Woods.
Joe Woods.
Joe Woods.
Oh, okay. Strong dislike, we'll say.
No, you just had some disagreements about it.
Yeah, exactly.
It might have been personnel.
Patched it up.
I don't know.
Patched it up. All right, you guys, bro hugged it out this offseason. No, but if I'm Joe Woods,
that he wasn't more aggressive on 4th and 6 with what's his name in there, Trace McSorley. Back in there, 4th and 6. No, let's just play soft cover 2 and just let Snead run up there for 6 yards. Nothing wrong can happen if they get this first down, right? Lamar can't come back off the toilet and take home field, right? Yeah, okay. You know what I mean?
No, but I want to be very clear, everyone listening. Quincy does not dislike Joe Woods. I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression.
Disagree with some of the decisions.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He doesn't dislike him at all. No, but if I'm Joe Woods, right? Don't you kind of want to back up like the old Brandon Staley game plan of like let CEH run, just don't let Mahomes beat me. Almost.
No, but my point is, if CEH, Mahomes is gonna Mahomes, right? But if CEH is also playing well, so now what do? Now
you're screwed.
Scaling, that's what I'm saying. I won't be mad at Joe Woods. I will be mad at Andrew Billings because I know what's going to happen here if CHH goes off, which is I'm going to see Andrew Billings at a 45-degree angle every time the ball snaps in the wrong direction, causing a crease in the middle of the field for CEH to run up because the shotgun run up the middle, that little halfback smash that teams love to run out that shotgun has been something the Browns have not been able to defend for 2 years. And then we bring in Andrew Billings to specifically take that double team block so we can finally stop that play. And if he is getting pushed back, like he got pushed by bums against the Jaguars, by bums against the Giants, and by bums against the Falcons. We have not said a single good word about any of those offensive lines at any point in the last 2 years. Never. If he gets pushed back by a couple of rookies, then what is his purpose out there for being big? That is all I'm saying. Yeah. Andrew Billings, you're going to be big out there. Be big for a reason.
Yeah, Tony, and Q, you have to think about if CH is running well between the middle, that play action, that will hold that defense a little bit more. And with that speed, and
you're screwed. That's what they also might be screwed. Is Mac Wilson really starting in this game? On the depth chart, they say Mac Wilson starts.
The depth chart is going to be JOK. He's going to take off. All right, it's going to be JOK.
This is the perfect
Anthony Walker.
Yeah,
and it's probably going to be some Taki and Malcolm Smith. I would be shocked at that, but then I also wouldn't because Joe Woods has also made some questionable decisions in the past.
By the way, Quincy does not dislike Joe Woods. I want to repeat that in case people get the wrong impression.
Don't
Very big fan.
Get the wrong impression. I'm a Joe Woods hater. I think some of his problems last year were personnel based. I think also some of those problems, hey, look, he said that aggressiveness was down because he didn't feel good about his personnel. Well, there ain't no excuse this year. So we better not see some shells on 4th and 6. We not even sending an extra blitzer to rush Trace McSorley, who proved that he can't even escape because he's so. Oh man, that people complain about the booty throw. People will complain about that throw all the time they want. Oh, Lamar got lucky on that throw. I don't care what Lamar did after that. You had Trace McSorley on 4th and 6, and you just let Willie Snead walk wide open. Weren't you shocked that was a thing that they let happen, Sonny? You're like, wow, they're just gonna let Willie Snead get this first down?
I thought it was game, and then
everyone thought it was game.
Trace McSorley on 4th and 6 on his own 20, and the Browns could have literally did anything they wanted defensively, but nah, let's just play a soft.
And to be fair, Ravens did not have
get them in front. Let's let them catch it and tackle them. That's what we're gonna do on 4th and 6.
By the way, Sonny, have they talked about bringing Trace McSorley back as a corner to replace Peters yet?
Did Trace McSorley play running back?
He did play corner. Didn't he play corner at first?
No, in Penn State apparently he did some corner. Anyway, so let me finish my Browns take.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I think the Browns can win if they hold the running game to 40, 50 yards at most. If the run game for the Chiefs is very low, I give them the Browns a chance. I actually think they can win. I think they can win, by field goal, whatever. If, on the other hand, CEH becomes a good runner in this game, runs for 80 plus, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day because then what are you going to do? Pick your poison. Oh, I'm going to stop the run, and Patrick Mahomes is going to just hit you over the top. Oh, let me just back off, and the CEH is running in the middle. So I think that is my X factor, right? CEH is the X factor. I think the Browns offense is going to be good. Browns offense is going to be good. They're going to be legit. They're going to be fine for this game. I think if I put one X factor, which is kind of weird putting a running back in this game, it would be CEH. Now, also, if the Browns jump to a lead, I think the Browns, you're going to see them then establish the run, slow down the pace, trying to burn the clock, and then win it that way. So we'll see. It should be a fun match. Let me read the super chat, and then I think Kim wants to say something. Raiders versus Ravens is Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson lost both of his arms, legs, and his corner, man.
Hey, but at least Tyson got all his injuries out before the fight. At least they got all his injuries out of the way before the fight. So
yeah, I would get all my injuries out if they were out for 4 weeks. Like you can't say all my injuries out when you lose a dude for a year.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not coming back. I don't think Ravens fans understand that. These guys aren't coming back for the entire season.
They might.
And I learned this from the Browns last year, where they lost all those corners. Where they lost like Greedy Williams and Grant Delpit last year for the year, and what that did to the depth of that corner room, it never recovered from there. So it's going to be something that's difficult for the Ravens to recover from. I mean, it's one thing to lose J.K. Dobbins. That was already going to be tough. But then to lose Gus, I mean, that's kind of cruel what the sports guys did to y'all, because he gave y'all 2 weeks to hype up Gus, tell me Gus go get 1,500 yards, and they're going to just take him from you literally an hour before the season kicks off. That's just literally the last practice this could have happened at, right? Because they're not going to have how unfortunate is this for the Baltimore Ravens? It really is just unfortunate.
It's tough. It's so tough for them.
Okay. You had something else to say about the Browns, Thank you.
No, we have something to say about the Ravens.
No, we just want to revisit this Ravens prediction. So everybody went Raiders, or did it was just me and Tony?
I went Raiders. I think Raiders. I think. Listen, first of all, if you want to bet the game against the spread, you are getting 4.5 for a Ravens team that has nothing offensively.
Raven fans, don't worry. Lamar's gonna look great. Ain't nobody gonna be saying a bad word about Lamar Jackson. Nobody's gonna say anything bad about him because he's gonna look great. He's gonna be out there, Kobe Bryant with Smush Parker. He's gonna reverse jinx all this. No, I'm reverse jinx. I think no. I think what's happening. I'm dead serious, Tony. I'm dead serious. I really believe this. He's gonna have a Kobe Bryant year where he's gonna do everything he can, but the team's gonna be 500 or one game over 500, so you can't give him the MVP. But he probably should win the MVP this year. He's gonna put up goofy numbers, but it's gonna be
the blasphemy.
Yeah, you can't win if you only got one dude. But it's gonna be some crazy stuff. Hey, look, at least you got that to look forward to. Lamar gonna put on the show for as long as he can stay out there, But it's gonna be Have Lamar starting on your fantasy team. Let me make sure I thought I drafted Lamar just for this specific reason. I'm dead. That wasn't a hot take I said the other day. It's just something I truly believe that Lamar Jackson, I want to put him in flex so I can get his rushing yards too.
Super flex. Yeah, super flex league.
Yeah. I want to get all the yards. He probably got to run receiver at some point.
Oh my God. The
blasphemy.
The blasphemy.
They're going to say Lamar at the lead blocker for whoever running the ball. They're going to do pitch.
The thing about Lamar is he went through that. See, this is the thing I keep worrying about, though, is Lamar went through that stretch last year where he really struggled, and it was because that offense didn't have, they just didn't have options for him. He was the entire offense, right, for that stretch until they really got Dobbins back involved.
Don't worry. We have Duvernay. We have Crochet. We have Sammy Watkins, baby. We have Hollywood. We have Hollywood.
Things said just before disaster.
Hollywood. You wait and see. We might
look, I'm not saying the Ravens are going to be like a 4-win team now, right? But I think this was a 10, 11-win team that now is much more, I think, in line with the Steelers, right? 8, 9 wins.
Hey, dude, Lamar got braids in right now. He's gonna have to get in his Allen Iverson bag this year. Lamar gonna be averaging. Lamar gonna be averaging MVP basketball numbers. He gonna be putting up 20 points a game.
Don't worry. I mean, you guys keep hating. I might have to bring the shame out of these W's.
I'm saying Lamar is gonna have a phenomenal.
Oh, you definitely listen. If they win this game, do bring the chain out. You need to bring it out early because you may not have a lot of chances.
Yeah. You might want to bring it out. You know what I mean? Because look, I'm just saying Lamar is gonna have a phenomenal year.
Yeah, no, I'm saying the team. Lamar is
going to be great
in this team. He is always great. He's always great.
He's going to be
not always great. He's not always. We've seen Lamar play very badly.
That's true.
We're going to look back in 5 years and be like, oh man, that 2021 season, it's underrated because the Ravens didn't win that much, but Lamar Jackson really put up some great numbers there. If you look at it,
my God.
This is an incredible reverse jinx. I love it.
This is not. He's going to be fifth in the league in rushing. He's going to be fifth in the NFL in rushing yards. He's going to be up for the rushing title by like week 14. He is going to be fifth in the NFL in rushing yards, and he's going to be third in passing yards. Like, he is going to put up ridiculous numbers.
Can he throw to himself? Is he going to do one of these like we used to do in the playground?
Dude, they're going to throw it to Hollywood Brown, and he's going to volleyball pass it to Lamar Jackson.
Bateman's coming back. coming back.
And then when Bateman comes back, them passing yards are going to take a huge jump. I'm just saying, he's going to be top 5 in both rushing and passing yards. He's going to be the first NFL quarterback to ever do something like that.
Watch the Ravens go 17-0 now.
No, they're going to go about 9 and 8. I mean,
yeah.
not 9 and 8. Well, yeah,
about 9 and 8. About 9 and 8.
10 and 7. Maybe like a 9, 7 and 1. You know what I mean? Kind of deal. But we're going to be like, damn, Lamar Jackson was extremely impressive.
Okay, my Ravens.
Sorry, Sonny.
Sorry for this blasphemy that's happening.
The worst part about it, Lamar's going to do all that, and they're going to get the MVP to Ryan Tannehill or somebody like that.
Tannehill.
Ben Roethlisberger MVP.
Because when Kobe was doing that, they gave the MVP to Steve Nash, and nobody is telling me that Steve Nash is a better player than Kobe was. You know what I mean? It's going to be like that. It's just going to be like that for Lamar.
It's going to be like that.
Change his number to 24 at the end of the season.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Don't worry.
Long year, Sonny.
We'll take it week by week.
It's going to be Lamar and the Pips. It's going to be the Bel Air offense out there in Baltimore.
Oh, my God.
John Harbaugh going to be like, Lamar, you want to go left or right, baby?
This is not me, Sonny. This is Quincy putting this reverse. It's not me.
I am not. This is look. I am dead serious. Like, whatever I got to do to prove this ain't no reverse thing, I legitimately think Lamar is going to do these things. Okay. I do. I really think he's going to be top 5 in rushing and passing yards this year.
All right, remember, I do want to remind everyone we have a survivor pool going. So if you want to join that, Sonny's going to put the link to that on Twitter. Follow AFC North Talk on Twitter, or probably put it in the comments below this video. You got to sign up, though.
I tried to do that.
I don't get Raven fans. Why are y'all mad at me for predicting that Lamar Jackson's going to have one of the best seasons in NFL history?
Because you're not.
I am.
Okay, no, I believe you. Wait, but before we keep going, so right now the link is pinned in the Twitter in our Twitter page in the AFC North Talk. So go check that out. Password's there too, because I didn't want any crazy person just looking for Yahoo. You know, at least this is for people that follow the AFC North Talk. So make sure you hit that. Before we go, because I don't want to hear this Lamar blast. Oh, not Lamar. The
blasphemy.
No, wait. The Ravens. The Ravens blasphemy.
Oh.
I believe Q. I actually believe that Q's not trying to jinx us. I believe that what Q is saying is what he believes. I just don't think that the Ravens are going to be as bad. Okay, I think Ravens' floor is 10 wins. Obviously, unless Lamar gets hurt.
What did you predict them to be for this year?
12-5.
So you think losing Dobbins, Edwards, Peters?
I'm saying right now
worth 2 wins.
No, I said the floor is 10 right now. Yeah, obviously, if they can
the floor is 10 right now. No, the floor is not 10. The floor is not 10. The ceiling is 10.
What? You crazy?
The floor
ceiling is 10.
You're crazy, Tony.
But they hating on me. All I'm telling you is Lamar will be top 5 in passing yards and rushing yards, but the Ravens might not make the playoffs. They might not make it.
They lost one of the best corners in the game, right? And Marcus Peters, who has been playing phenomenal football ever since he came there from the Rams. Okay, they lost both a run-based offense. Lost both their starting runners. Okay, and are now down to Le'Veon Bell and Tyson Williams. And I understand, the running backs don't matter and anybody behind an offense, but they don't have a great offensive line either. Okay, and then you have an offense supposed to be rebuilt in the passing game. And oh, by the way, Rashad Bateman, he's not there till November, right?
Look, if
we're going to predict this team to win 12 games, that's fine. But every time they keep losing pieces, don't try to tell me that that guy didn't. It wasn't really that big a deal. Every time they lose one of these guys, like, come on.
I think what Sonny is saying, the team as of right now, as of currently, like as everybody who's healthy, their floor is 10 wins.
Yeah,
their ceiling is 10 wins. Their floor is like
if everybody stays healthy from this point on, they could definitely win 11 games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very interested to see how effective their offense is. It's a bad Raiders team. And I do think they're going to score 30 on Monday night. But I want to see it. I want to see
it. I want to see what it looks like. Game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think everybody's going to be rusty. There is no preseason for anybody, which concerns me. So, anything last words? And by the way, guys, before I go, please hit a like in this video.
What are you guys talking about in the chat? Hold on. People are saying I'm giddy over the Ravens injury. I am legitimately not giddy over the Ravens injury.
He's been reverse jinxing all night, folks.
Oh my God. No, it's not no reverse jinx. I'm just saying how the Ravens are currently constructed, even before this, because I did that hot take. What, Tuesday? A week ago before all these injuries happened. I don't even think JK was hurt. I felt like Lamar was going to have to pretty much do it all by himself because I felt like the offensive line wouldn't be good enough to get a stable passing attack. That is where I'm at. And then now you have no running backs. You legitimately have no running backs you were planning to give a single carry to 3 weeks ago starting for you right now. And I'm the one that's jinxing y'all because I'm saying Lamar Jackson will have 1,500 rushing yards again and then probably have like 4,000 or 5,000 passing yards because he's legitimately it on the team right now. I know y'all love Mark Andrews and think he's the second coming to Travis Kelce, but like he's not. His best year is Travis Kelce's worst year. So this is just where y'all at. It's going to be the Lamar show. And I think the Lamar show could probably get you 11, 12 wins, but I also think that there's a high possibility that the Lamar show might get you 9 and 10 wins because, it's not going to be enough to really make the playoffs in the AFC, but he's going to be phenomenal this year. That is the legitimate take. I am saying this with a straight face. I absolutely 100% mean it. Maybe I got a little hyperbolic when I said top 5 in both rushing and passing, but he will be top 5 in rushing, and he probably will be top 10 in passing yards or passing touchdowns. Like, he's going to have a phenomenal year. I think so. I'm not celebrating their injuries. I don't think this is good for the Ravens, and this is not how I would want the Browns to beat the Ravens. I'm not talking about the Browns playing them, but if I'm looking at the outlook of the season with all the injuries, yes, Lamar Jackson is going to have a phenomenal year. And I don't know why whenever somebody says something nice about Lamar Jackson that's not a Ravens fan, everybody goes to trolling because y'all toxic. I ain't toxic on that. All right.
Okay.
I consistently defend Lamar Jackson, by the way.
That is true. That is true. I'll give props to Q. So please make sure you give it a like. Also, after the video is over, I want y'all to go and comment each game. Give us your prediction. Who's winning? Everybody just pick Bills because I want the Bills to win. Everybody pick Kansas City. Everybody picks the Ravens. And Bengals short. Take that W. So me and Ace can be happy next week. Any last things before we go?
No, I'm obviously, we are we have had a long off season of doing lists and hot takes and all that. And I'm so excited now. We actually get to talk about football. By the way, fans are back. It's going to be so much better to watch games with fans in the stands. So yeah, I'm thrilled. We get to watch games tonight. By the way, I have I like the Cowboys +9 tonight. We want another one.
By the way, Raven fans, y'all literally just proved in this chat today that y'all are the meme. Where it'd be like, say Lamar Jackson's name, here comes a Raven fan to defend him, even though you ain't said nothing bad about Lamar Jackson. I did not hurt your precious. I'm not trying to reverse jinx him. I do want him to
You heard
not
that.
about me. Huh?
You heard the Baltimore Ravens.
When are you bringing the chain out, Sonny? That's what I want to know. That's my last thought. When are you bringing the chain out?
Trolling. Like, I drafted Lamar Jackson pretty early in my fantasy draft.
It's there. The chain is there. It's tucked away.
It's tucked away.
But wait.
Let me see the chain, bro.
It's over there.
I want to see it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. No. Sonny. Sonny.
Yeah.
Keep it.
No.
Listen, you've had a bad week. You knew what happened the last time you brought this out.
You had a bad week, so if you bring it out and show it, all they can do is get better, right? Like you got to reverse and change the jinx by showing you're not afraid of it.
You are. You are on. You are. I see what's happening here.
I saw it.
There it is.
It's there.
If they lose against the Raiders, you got to bring out the chain just like to reverse it. You know what I mean?
Oh, maybe that's true. That's true. If the Ravens lose outright to the Raiders, then you got to bring the chain in to reverse this because this is.
Oh man.
Not
okay, I'm depressed and I'm supposed to be going to sleep because I'm in there here. So y'all, thank you for
It's not going to be one of them seasons where it's going to be bad. It's going to be a fun, competitive season for the Ravens. Like, I know people are down because they lost their home players. I'm just saying also you'll have, in addition to watching that, you'll be able to see Lamar put up like a historic, and I think he's going to put up historical NFL numbers.
MVP number 2.
But I just don't know if he's going to be able to win it because I don't know what that win-loss record is going to be if that's the offense. You know what I mean? It might be one of those things like a Watson last year where he put up great numbers and led the league in passing yards and everything, but was like 5-10 or whatever. Even though I think passing yards are kind of an overrated number, but you know what I mean. It's going to be there with touchdowns. His touchdown interception ratio is probably going to be phenomenal. His running yards, he's going to probably put up a historic season. It's just going to be one of those years where it's like somebody might have a better record and a better story and might get it from him because he's already had one, and the win-loss record might not be great.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, This is it. Look, we went over it in the season. We're trying to shorten these videos, but this one we just went a little bit over.
Kept it to an hour, right?
We kept it to under 2 hours, this one. But hey, we're coming back on Tuesday. Remember, make sure you hit the bell because we might, especially the second show, we might be changing in days and times. So make sure you hit that bell so when we come live, you know. And hey, we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Have you ever
Are you listening? Damn.
And the ball is third and 4.